If you're an ECFMG certified international medical graduate and you've applied to thousands of dollars worth of programs, didn't get as many interview offers as you would have hoped, or didn't get any at all, or you're an IMG that is worried that you won't get interviews when you eventually do apply, well, you've come to the right place, because we're going to talk about the top 3 things that will increase your value as a candidate to ensure that you have the strongest application possible and secure that interview that you need to get the residency. All right, so let's get right to it. If you plan on applying or reapplying this coming September, the 3 things that you must do to give yourself the strongest possible chance for interviews in terms of strengthening your CV. Number 1, USMLE Step 3, if you don't have it already. Number 2, U.S. clinical experience at a teaching hospital this year. And number 3, research that results in a publication or is likely to result in a publication. That's it.
As it should always be. The residents of the future. This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
It sounds simple, but it's not. Planning what order you do this in matters. If you do it in the wrong order, then you're losing interview opportunities to docs that did do it in the best possible order. I can't tell you how many times I've reviewed an applicant's CV and saw someone that did research first, but no Step 3, no U.S. clinical experience recently. And I would ask him, who the f told you to do this? I would tell him that is what is killing your application. And it's why they have to reapply again. 9 out of 10 times, the person that advised that doctor to do that was a senior that actually meant well. Maybe because it helped him before. What the senior doesn't realize is that A, he has a very small sampling of how it actually affects applications, and B, yeah, he's in residency, but had he done things differently, in all likelihood, he'd probably be at a stronger program, at the very least gotten more interviews. Listen, it's entirely up to you who to follow, your seniors or what you hear today. When you take anybody's advice, ask for the reasoning. Make that person defend their advice and then make the decision based on as much evidence as they can give you and as much evidence as you can find. So let's figure out why research should almost never be the first priority. So the big picture, research does help eventually. I won't allow my students to do it unless they've already passed Step 3 and already have at least 1 to 3 months of U.S. clinical experience at a teaching hospital in the specialty they're applying in the year that they are applying. Step 3 first if you don't have it, then U.S. clinical experience, then research. Why Step 3 first? U.S. clinical experience could go first, and you'd still be okay. We'll talk about why that is later on when we get to talking about U.S. clinical experience. But in all likelihood, if you're watching this now and don't have U.S. clinical experience already scheduled, even if you contacted every U.S. clinical experience opportunity you could find, submitted all your paperwork, you'd probably still have to wait at least 1 to 3 months before you can actually start at that program. A lot of programs during certain parts of the year are waitlisted or backlogged in terms of when students can begin. In other words, U.S. clinical experience is one of those CV building things that you can't exactly control the start of it. But with Step 3, you can control the start of your preparation. You don't have to wait 1 to 3 months. You can technically start now. Well, not now, after you finish this video. And you have taken a moment to subscribe and smash that subscribe button if this has been helpful to you so far. All right, so for Step 3, what we found is the ideal time frame for studying for that particular exam is 3 to 4 months. And that's for somebody that is treating it like it's their job to study. Full time, that's what you do. For doctors that have other things going on like work or taking care of kids, obviously that's going to be a little bit longer. So how can you guesstimate if you lean towards studying for about 3 months or studying longer, closer to 4 months or more? Well, as a general rule, the higher Step 2 CK score and the closer you are to that exam, to the CK, the faster and the easier and the more efficiently somebody will prepare for the Step 3. On the other side of the coin, conversely, the lower the CK score and the farther back you took it, that would generally lengthen the time you study for the Step 3. In both cases, it's simply a matter of how much you can recall and how comfortable you are with MCQs. If you just did MCQs 2 months ago, you can fall right into that rhythm faster than somebody that did it 2 years ago. Here's the awesome part about studying for Step 3 first. Studying for Step 3, the things you will study, will absolutely help your performance during your eventual US clinical experience. It's another huge reason why you'd make it higher on your priority list. You will ask better questions. You'll be able to apply your knowledge on the floors and people can see that you know what you're talking about. You'll answer questions better when you're pimped. You'll have residency level knowledge before you're even in residency. That means making a stronger impression on the doctors that will evaluate you and write the letters of recommendation that'll help you get interviews. The other reason why Step 3 is essential for an application for an IMG is because of how visa sponsorships work. For an IMG that requires a visa sponsorship, which at the time of this video applies to the H-1B visa, then the ideal thing to have done is to have already passed the exam, because if you've already passed it, it means that you're less of a risk for a program. Programs are understandably cautious and picky about who they interview. It doesn't make sense to interview someone that you worry eventually can't even pass the exam that is required to sponsor their visa. If someone had a high Step 2 CK, well, then there's a really high correlation, high probability that they're going to pass the Step 3 with little or no issue. The lower the CK score, or the more number of attempts it took you to eventually pass it, the higher risk that that candidate will fail the Step 3 when they eventually do take it. You know how to remove all their concerns? Pass the fucking Step 3.
Fantastic.
All right, so what if you're an IMG that doesn't require a visa? You're a US citizen or a green card holder. First of all, congratulations. High five. On marrying someone or being related to someone that helped you get that green card and the US citizenship. Awesome. That usually means more interviews, simply because you qualify for basically every program that's willing to accept an international medical graduate. The reason you still want the Step 3 is because you'll be competing directly against IMGs that do need an H-1B, many of which will have the Step 3. You want to be able to match up as closely as possible to them and still maintain your advantage with that awesome green card and US citizenship. On top of that, having your Step 3 improves your potential residency performance. I mean, shit, you know more, right? And you can rest more when you get home after a long residency day if you've already passed your Step 3 instead of having to study for it in your first year. So strategically, the best game plan for somebody that's ECMG certified already, whatever month it is right now, as you watch this, aim to take your Step 3 in about 3 to 4 months. Hey, thanks for watching. Up next in part 2 of this IMG Match series, we'll take a look at the US clinical experience building mistake that can cost you and other IMGs thousands of dollars, waste your valuable time, and leave you with weaker letters of recommendation, and how to make sure you make the most out of your valuable time during rotations. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to make sure you get access to upcoming videos on match topics like rank listing, personal statements, and interview skills.